Imagine a machine that could power an entire home, a company, or even a full city without the need for fuel, sunlight, or wind. A device not born in Silicon Valley or designed in a European lab, but created in the heart of Africa. For many years, people refused to believe it existed. Some called it a fantasy, others a rumor. Yet today, that very invention has crossed the Atlantic Ocean and landed in the United States, sparking heated debates everywhere. This is the story of Maxwell Chikumbutso's self-powering generator and how its arrival in America is challenging everything experts thought they knew about energy. On July 28, 2024, the cargo doors opened at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York City. Inside the terminal, a small group of engineers, scientists, and journalists waited anxiously. Many expected nothing more than a clever hoax, another failed promise. Yet inside the reinforced shipping container sat a mysterious machine, the self-powering generator from Africa, now touching American soil for the first time. It didn't look strange or futuristic at first glance. The body was made of shiny metal with digital panels and a steady, low hum that sounded almost alive. But for those who understood what it could do, it wasn't just a piece of equipment. It was a message, a declaration that the future might not belong to the big corporations or powerful nations, but to the dreamers who refused to give up. A few days later, the generator was transported under heavy security to a private research center in Washington, D.C. The large hall buzzed with anticipation. Government officials, energy specialists, and observers from around the world gathered to witness history or to prove it false. Some came out of curiosity, others out of fear. Maxwell himself had not yet arrived in America. He was still en route from Zimbabwe. But his team of African engineers stood proudly beside their creation, confident and calm. They carefully connected the generator to a circuit powering rows of lights, fans, and computers. No fuel tank, no wires, no connection to any external source. When the switch was pressed, the lights flickered to life instantly. The fans began to spin. Computers booted up. Heaters started to hum. The generator's sound remained smooth and steady, as if it could keep running forever. The room fell silent. Then someone whispered, "This changes everything." Another voice followed, softer but filled with disbelief. "It shouldn't be possible." Within hours, news of the event spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with photos, short clips, and endless discussions. Headlines appeared across major networks and independent platforms alike. African generator that runs without fuel shocks U.S. scientists. Could this be the end of the energy crisis? Africa's answer to free power? Everyone wanted to know more. Oil lobbyists raised eyebrows. Renewable energy companies grew nervous. Defense agencies quietly sent representatives to investigate. Questions came fast and loud. Was this real science or a trick? Could the design be scaled up to power entire cities? And if it was genuine, what would become of the trillion-dollar energy industry built on oil, gas, and coal? Behind the scenes, the race had already begun. Some American corporations reached out privately, offering to license or purchase the technology. Others wanted full control, patents, manufacturing everything. Skeptics, however, demanded deep investigations. They argued that perpetual motion was impossible, that the generator violated the laws of physics. Television panels filled with experts debating whether it was a miracle or a fraud. But while everyone argued, Maxwell Chikumbutso was on his way to the United States, determined not to sell his invention but to share it, to show the world what African innovation could achieve when given a chance. 2 days later, all cameras pointed toward Washington Dulles Airport. When Maxwell finally stepped off the plane, surrounded by his small team, the crowd erupted with flashes and shouting reporters. For years, he had been called a dreamer, a scammer, even a madman. Yet now, in one of the most powerful nations on Earth, his invention had forced the scientific community to pay attention. Reporters pushed forward, shouting questions over one another. "Maxwell, how does it actually work?" yelled one journalist. "Is it perpetual motion?" another asked. "Are you selling this to America?" came a third. Maxwell smiled gently, took a brief pause, and said, "This is not about selling. This is about freedom. Energy should not be a luxury. It should be a right for everyone." His calm voice carried across the crowd, his words sinking deep. For a moment, even the shouting stopped. That short statement went viral. Millions shared the clip within hours. News anchors replayed it again and again. Energy should be a right, not a privilege. Those words became a rallying cry for people tired of high energy bills and broken promises about clean power. As Maxwell began giving interviews, his face appeared on every major television network. Talk shows called him the African Edison. Online, some people called him a hero, while others called him a fraud. Yet through it all, Maxwell remained composed, focused only on his mission. In private, government meetings were being held daily. Some officials saw the generator as a possible breakthrough, a solution to energy shortages, and a step toward independence from fossil fuels. Others saw it as a threat that could destabilize existing systems and powerful industries. Could America really accept the revolutionary African technology that might rewrite global energy rules? What would China do if it got there first? The world's biggest players were suddenly in a silent competition for a device that might reshape humanity's future. Meanwhile, Maxwell's generator continued to operate perfectly under controlled tests. Engineers who once doubted him stood in quiet awe, recording data, running diagnostics, and finding nothing unusual except the impossible fact that it kept generating power without input. Some whispered theories about magnetic resonance, others about quantum energy extraction. No one could say for certain how it worked, but it worked. And that was enough to shake the foundation of science itself. In the following days, public curiosity turned into global attention. Crowds gathered outside the research center hoping to get a glimpse of the generator. Journalists from Europe, Asia, and South America arrived to cover the story. Online forums filled with debates. Some believed it was the dawn of a new era. Others warned it could bring chaos if used incorrectly. But one thing was clear: the world would never look at energy the same way again. Maxwell's life changed overnight. Invitations poured in from universities, investors, and political leaders. Still, he avoided signing any deals. Instead, he focused on explaining his message, that Africa was not a continent of poverty and struggle, but one of creativity, intelligence, and power. He reminded the world that great minds can come from anywhere, and innovation does not belong only to the wealthy or the privileged. His speeches echoed in classrooms, boardrooms, and even government halls. While his words inspired millions, they also created tension. Oil magnates saw danger, energy companies feared bankruptcy. Politicians debated in secret about how to respond. Would the United States welcome this technology openly, or quietly suppress it under claims of national security? Would foreign governments try to seize it? Behind closed doors, discussions grew more intense. Some argued that if this generator were real, it could change everything, not just energy, but politics, economics, and global balance. Free energy would mean freedom from control, and freedom scares those who profit from dependency. In one quiet interview, Maxwell said something that captured the heart of his mission. If a child in a small African village can have light without needing to buy fuel, then the world has changed. That is my goal. His sincerity was undeniable. But as his popularity grew, so did the risks. Reports surfaced that certain groups were trying to silence him or steal his designs. His team tightened security and his every move was monitored. Still, Maxwell refused to back down. If this technology belongs to humanity, he said, then humanity must protect it. By mid-August, the story had reached every major news outlet on the planet. Talk shows debated its legitimacy. Governments sent research delegations. Tech billionaires offered partnerships. For the first time, the possibility of clean, endless power no longer seemed like science fiction. And through it all, Maxwell kept repeating the same line. Africa has always been rich, not in money, but in ideas. The world just never listened. As more tests were conducted, some scientists began to soften their stance. A few admitted that while they didn't understand the exact mechanism, the results were undeniable. The generator kept producing power. The implications were staggering. Imagine cities without power cuts, hospitals in remote areas running without fuel, entire nations freed from oil dependence. The dream of endless, clean energy suddenly seemed within reach. But with that dream came a storm of greed and fear. Corporate leaders lobbied to slow the spread of the technology. Anonymous reports appeared online questioning Maxwell's credibility. Yet every attempt to discredit him only fueled more public interest. People across continents began calling him a symbol of African brilliance, a man who proved that innovation has no borders. And so, as the weeks passed, the question shifted from, is it real? To who will control it? The world watched closely as political tension built. Would America open its doors to this invention, or would it attempt to bury it? Would Africa finally take center stage in the next industrial revolution? And what part would China play in this unfolding global power game? The answers remained hidden, discussed only in private meetings and secret documents. But one thing was certain, the self-powering generator had already changed history. Stay tuned for Part 2, where the struggle intensifies. Will the United States embrace this world-changing technology or attempt to contain it? The lines are being drawn, alliances are forming, and soon the whole planet will feel the impact of one man's dream, a dream born in Africa, now shaking the foundations of the modern world.